autocracy, which is a government of thieves. The ANC is full of thieves, from the president of the ANC to premiers to mayors to almost everyone else who is associated with the ANC.
But Floyd,
and then we say that we must deal with that decisively as the organization, and we have done that in some of the metros. We're going to finish them off in the coming week.
All right, I hear you on that. But you've had similar harsh words for the DA, and yet you still have agreed to give them your vote.
Now look, we have to be very harsh on the African National Congress because they've had 22 years of being government in South Africa. They've been told internally to self-correct, to take decisive actions against state capture by a Gupta family, which has colonized the ANC, has colonized its president, tells him what to do, when and how. And we've given an opportunity to self-correct, or we are going to be demolished. And then they chose the way of demolition. And we can tell you that with the loss of the ANC in Johannesburg, in Tshwane, in many other metros in South Africa, they are gone forever. They're never going to recover. Since we have taken those decisions as the EFF, we know that the lifeblood of the ANC is government. Without government, the ANC is going to die a natural death because they utilize government patronage to canvass for votes and persuade people because they've got political power. Now that we are gradually eating this elephant piece by piece and taking it out of government, we can tell you that in 2019, the ANC will be out of power totally, and a coalition government that excludes the ANC must be constituted as part of the transition towards an EFF-run South Africa that will bring about permanent economic freedom to our people.
The sentiment, and it is a very strong one, particularly on social media platforms like Twitter, is that your hatred as a party for the ANC because of your history with that party is blinding you to even what could be good agreements or good cooperations with the ANC, and you would rather give blindly your vote to the DA just to spite the ANC.
We never brought about subjective interest in the negotiations with the ANC. We went to them and said openly that if you want to work with the EFF as government, there are certain fundamental things that you have to adhere to. Nationalization of mines, that is not a personal agenda. Land expropriation without compensation is not a personal agenda. Free quality education for all until undergraduate level is not a personal agenda. Scrapping of e-tolls is not a personal agenda. It's nothing personal about that. And we can tell you that if the ANC had adhered to all those demands, we're going to give them the metros. Actually, we're not going to be in part of the position mongers and people who are going to be mayors. We're going to say that here are the metros, govern them, because now you're beginning a process of self-correction and ideological repositioning, which is long overdue. Because if the ANC continues in the ideological discourse that it has pursued thus far, it is going down, it will never recover. We're going to bury it, we're going to make sure that it disappears forever. It is extinguished in South Africa's political landscape.
We will wait and see what happens with that. Is the DA a party of white supremacists, and is it just going to reverse the transformation gains once it gets into power in all these metros? That's one of the questions that we'll be posing to Mr. James Self right after this break. Just stay with us.
Where will your short left take you? What would you do and why? Tell us at shortleft.co.za. Help us make tourism for all, and you could win a dream getaway.
Is your cold causing sinus pressure? Help your head by helping your nose. Otrivin Menthol unblocks your nose in minutes and provides a soothing sensation. The decongestant reduces swelling and opens up sinuses, so you can set them free. And enjoy breathing again. Otrivin. Experience better breathing this cold and flu season.
NutriDay Smart Snack presents.
Nunu, what are you doing?
I'm finding the secret code, Mom.
It's back! The NutriDay Snackbot Jackpot! Buy any NutriDay yogurt. Find the promo code on the pack. Send in your promo code. Keep your till slip, and you could win 1,000 Rand every hour, every day! You won! And you too could be a winner!
Come on, Mom, let's enter.
Enter now and visit the Facebook page every day to see the winners!
Tonight's guests on Interface are the president or the deputy president of the EFF, Mr. Floyd Shivambu, and also the chairperson of the DA Federal Council, Mr. James Self, was joining us from our studios in Cape Town. And Mr. Self, the question I posed before the break, I'm posing to you now. The DA has one major hurdle that it will have to overcome once it gets to the other metros, and that is that you are perceived as a party that services white people. The EFF itself has said that many a times against you, and once you get into power, Park Stow, the current mayor of Joburg, said today that you will reverse the gains, the transformation gains of the past.
Well, as you said, it's a perception, and I like to quote the example of the city of Cape Town again, where over 2/3 of the city's budget gets spent on the areas that are poor in Cape Town. And it is so that the Democratic Alliance, the membership of the DA is overwhelmingly not white. Its voter base is overwhelmingly not white. And increasingly, we are a party for all South Africans, not white, not black, not coloured, not Indian, but all South Africans. And that is what we need in South Africa. We are the most diverse party in South Africa, and we want to become even more diverse so that we can represent the dream that President Mandela had for South Africa, that we are a country for all South Africans living in peace, united in our diversity.
So when Africa Check comes out with the report, as they did recently, that says your statistic that you've been claiming for a while, that you spend 67% of your budget on the poor in Cape Town, is actually not true. Your response?
Well, I would differ with them, and I would invite them to engage in a debate around exactly what services are provided to poor areas, what services are provided to rich areas. There's huge cross-subsidization that takes place within our municipalities, and in point of fact, the services that are provided in our municipalities are of a far higher quality than those provided in many ANC-controlled municipalities. So it's just simply not true.
But be that as it may, they say when they asked you for statistics to back up your claim, the statistics didn't match up. You took too long to give them to them. And when they looked into the intricacies of those statistics, it was proven that it is not true that you are spending 67% of your budget on the poor. That you've, in fact, lied to South Africans. That's the point they made.
Well, I would venture to respectfully disagree with them, and I believe we use different methodologies to come to those conclusions, but I am satisfied that that is the case, and it's one of the reasons why many of the prominent members of Ses Corner decided to throw their weight behind the DA. Once one was able to explain to them exactly how much money was provided to the poor, the scales fell from their eyes and they were prepared to come on board.
Okay. So let's move back to the EFF. Bongani Khadebe, one of the people that has written to us on Twitter, says, I'm glad the so-called small parties now realize that Malema is nothing but white monopoly capital himself that hands power to its white supremacists, the DA, without conditions attached. That is him being an irresponsible leader. That's not a sentiment that he holds. We've had many such sentiments put to us on social media?
Now look, those sentiments is mostly the senseless fury of ANC supporters and ANC members who know nothing about what is happening in South Africa. The ANC is presiding over a kleptocracy. Jacob Zuma is stealing money in front of everyone and they're not cautioning him against that. Under ANC's rule, 80% of the land is controlled by white people. Like more than 90% of the JSE, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, is still in white hands under ANC rule. Black people are getting poorer every day under ANC's watch. So what ANC is this that now complains that the EFF has taken a proper tactical political decision that they must be removed out of power by supporting all opposition parties, whether it's IFP, whether it's Forum for Service Delivery, whether it's Mitsima Hulu Civic Association, whether it's DA, in order to remove this government which has been in political office for 22 years and has failed to meet the basic needs of our people. No one is going to guilt trip us that we are supporting white monopoly capital. We are the strongest opponents of white monopoly capital. That is why we have sent a strong warning and caution against the DA that they must never think that as an accident of history happening that they are government because of the EFF vote now, we're going to fold our arms and we leave them do as they wish. We leave them do as they're doing in Cape Town. It's not going to happen in Johannesburg because we hold the deciding vote. And it's not going to happen in Tswana because we hold the deciding vote in approving budgets. So there's never going to be a budget that will be passed that easily because it wants to reinforce white supremacy.
Floyd, I do want us to talk about Johannesburg in particular, but the DA's mayoral candidate in Ekurhuleni says this about the EFF. Says the EFF has decided to be in a cooperative and supportive opposition. Is that what you are?
I don't know where that he gets that from. It's his own imaginations. We have never had any cooperative coalitions with any DA, with any political party. We are an independent organization that stands for what it believes in. Our policies are there. They are known by everyone that we stand for the poor. We are not supporting the DA on any policy position. But we've given them now an opportunity to govern because we want to reject the ANC. We want to teach the ANC a lesson that its arrogance, its 22 years of incompetence, its 22 years of directionlessness must be rejected because it's a matter of fact that in Johannesburg, more than 55% of voters have said that the ANC must fall. Who are we to say we must reject the sentiment of majority of voters in Johannesburg? In Tswana, it's even a bigger number. There's a bigger number as well in Port Elizabeth. It's a number as well in Ekurhuleni. We do not want to concoct power relations that are going to bring back the ANC to power because it has been given an opportunity for a very long time. But our people have made up their minds and we must respect that.
I get you. Yes. Let's look at Johannesburg. In Johannesburg, you did not want the DA's mayoral candidate, Herman Mashaba. You've had very strong words for him and the DA because they're insisting on him. And yet you still are going ahead to support the DA's progress in this city, even though you've a Park Stau who has a proven record of having worked in the city.
Let me tell you something. We rather have Herman Mashaba than Park Stau. Park Stau is corrupt. He administers a corrupt administration here in Johannesburg. He was asked today, what went wrong with you losing elections because the West has been praising you, the rating agencies have been praising you that you're the best mayor. When there's Straightler, when there's Deep Sloot, when there's Orange Farm, when there's these areas that do not have water, do not have sanitation, do not have basic services. And he says that I do not know why I lost elections because I've been doing well. What kind of a mayor is that? What kind of a person is that? He doesn't deserve our respect. We'll never respect him. Even if there could have been a coalition agreement with the ANC, Park Stau was never going to be a mayor of Johannesburg because he does not know what is happening. He's not in touch with the people. He doesn't understand his own city. He doesn't understand that there's so many challenges that confront Johannesburg.
I've got to take another short break. And after the break, I'm coming right back to you, Mr. James Self. Stay with me.
Earlier today, my husband said he was in pain. He couldn't bend, twist, or lift.
He's been using Voltaren Emogel with up to 4 times faster muscle pain relief. It's a clinically proven anti-inflammatory with a unique triple effect. Relieves pain at source and reduces inflammation, which helps speed up recovery.
Ready for round 2?
Voltaren, the joy of movement.
Mr. James Self, why did the DA insist on putting Mr. Herman Mashaba forward for the mayoral position, even though the EFF and other parties have sounded warnings against this? Why are you insisting on him as a candidate?
Well, we have procedures to elect our mayoral candidates. They're intricate procedures. They're administered on a regional level where we respect the views of our own members and supporters. And we are not one of those organizations that says at a stroke of a pen, well, we don't like this candidate and we're going to substitute another one. That is not how we operate. If we had had to remove Mr. Mashaba, we would have had to have started the whole process all over again, and it may very well have delivered exactly the same result. So simply on a matter of principle, we believed that that was our mayoral candidate. That was somebody who we'd put up posters for. That was the candidate that people had voted for. And we couldn't simply say that we were going to abandon him simply because other people didn't like him.
Are you nervous that what happened in Rustenburg, where the EFF said, we'll give our vote to the Forum for Service Delivery, and they had all of the other smaller parties saying, yes, we'll vote with you, and still the ANC retained that municipality. Something else also happened in another similar municipality. Are you nervous that in Johannesburg in particular, come tomorrow when the voting has to happen, that you will not in fact clinch Joburg?
Well, it is an obvious risk, and as I always say, I don't count my chickens until they hatch. But we have put measures in place. Our people are ready and willing and have been briefed about how to vote and in what way to vote. And we believe that we have the numbers to put a opposition coalition into power. And we are confident that that will be what happens tomorrow.
So what happened in Rustenburg?
In Rustenburg, one of the independent candidates...
Asking Mr. Shivambu here.
One of the independent candidates decided to vote for the ANC, and that was the only deciding vote. And the ANC was able to retain the municipality because of one of the independent candidates.
So for those who say, see, the EFF is not really the kingmakers that everybody has been touting them to be.
In Rustenburg, there were many other role players. But in Johannesburg, we can tell you now straight that come tomorrow, Parkstar will not be a mayor of Johannesburg. He must pack his bags and go home or do something else. He must be a backbencher in the council there. Tomorrow, Parkstar will not be a mayor of Johannesburg. There will be a new mayor and new executive in Johannesburg that's going to take the city forward. The ANC must learn to be humbled. They've been very arrogant for a very long time. They think that they are ordained by God to lead our cities. They must learn a big lesson now, and then we are going to remove them from power completely. Come 2019, come 2021. There won't be even coalition discussions. There won't be even worries about 40-something%.
Floyd, let me tell our viewers once again that we did invite the ANC. We were supposed to have the treasurer of the ANC, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, joining us for this discussion. He did not come to the studio for whatever reason that we don't yet know, but we are continuing with the discussion without him. So if you do hear that the ANC is not represented, it is not because we did not try to get them on. But here's a question for you, Mr. Self. The DA has now got power in some of the big metros, but at the level of service delivery, where civil servants are, you still have predominantly ANC well, let's say just civil servants that may or may not be aligned to the DA. What guarantees do you have for the people of Port Elizabeth, the people of Tshwane, the people of all of these metros, that you will indeed manage to effect any change in those metros?
Yeah, well, this was a situation that we had to confront in many other governments we took over, notably the province of the Western Cape, which was very highly politicized. But we made it clear to those civil servants that we are actually not interested in their private politics. What we're interested in is their ability to be able to do the job. And accordingly, a number of people who had been appointed, particularly to senior positions within the Western Cape administration, stayed on and are now implementing the DA's program of action because they are efficient, they are non-partisan civil servants. We expect the same of the people in Port Elizabeth, the people in Tshwane, the people in Johannesburg, that while they do their job and they do it in an efficient way, their jobs are safe.
But those who say to you, sorry, we are running out of time, so I'm going to have to cut in.
Program of action.
Those who say the
by
DA
following a political agenda, then it's a different matter.
I'm going to unfortunately have to cut in because we are running out of time. Those who say, look at Cape Town, look at Cape Town as an example of what the DA can do. In the urban areas, yes, they are doing very well. But come to the townships, come to the Cape Flats, and you don't see what they are doing. This is why you've had all of the protests that you've seen in Cape Town. A quick response from you, please.
Yeah, well, some of the protests are manufactured outrage, quite frankly. And generally speaking, the quality of life of everybody in Cape Town has improved. And there are all sorts of indicators that prove that. We have to contend with an urbanization issue, and that's the same as any other big metro in South Africa. But the problem about Cape Town is that there's a shortage of land. It's caused by mountains, it's caused by the sea, it's caused by a number of other factors, and we have to manage that situation as best we can. We also have to manage it within the context of a diminishing budget. So there's many, many more things we would like to do. And the leader of the DA, Musi Maimane, challenged us to do much more, and we intend to do much more.
All right, we're going to have to end it there. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. And unfortunately, we didn't get to hear from the ANC. Perhaps we will organize another opportunity for us to talk to them about what they plan to do after these elections. We will be watching this one very closely. Let's continue the conversation on Facebook and on Twitter. From me and the team, good night.